You're listening to the Practical Wealth Show with Curtis May.
Hey, everybody. Curtis May here, back at you, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. So I'm excited to have a special guest, Mr. Robert Hartline. Say hello, Robert.
Hey, Curtis. Good to see you.
Good to see you also. And so let me tell you a little about Robert. Robert is an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. He's from Nashville, which I love that city. My wife and I went through there on the way to Memphis. We stopped there for lunch. We're like, wait, we got to come back here, stay here. And but he has, let me see, 5 companies. 4 companies, right? He's the founder of CallProof.com. He's the educator at Shift Your Time, which I think we're going to be talking about a lot today. He's the owner of Dang It Repair and Absolute Wireless, and he's the co-founder of Hitch Rewards. Am I saying that right?
That's right.
And he teaches entrepreneurs how to move their internal communications from phone, Slack, and email to Marco Polo. And that's kind of where I want to go into that today, of how you're helping people, improve their profitability, streamline their systems, grow revenue with this fabulous tool that I just started playing with. Before we go into that, tell my listeners a little bit, Robert, about your journey and what brought you, what got you into business. And I always like to hear the backstory of how people got there.
Oh, Curtis, man, I appreciate the intro. Yeah, since '94, I was in college at MTSU in Tennessee. Started to sell phones door to door.
Wow.
And, a few years of that, I decided, I'm gonna start my own store, and one store led to another, and currently we have 61 locations.
Wow.
The growth that we've had, it wasn't success overnight. That's over 20 years. But but I'll tell you, we had rapid growth probably over the last 3 years. The last 2 years, in fact, we were the fastest growing business in Nashville, Tennessee, 2 years in a row. So,
wow.
So there's been a lot of growth, and what I learned is you're going to get the fastest growth when you can communicate the best. And once you kind of crack that nut and figure out that the best way to get your people to do what you need them to do is to inspire them and not use your will onto them. And that was a lesson I've learned a while ago. You mentioned one of the companies that I've started. It's called Shift Your Time. And I basically work with entrepreneurs to move away from email and away from phone into this new app called Marco Polo that I'm in love with.
Wow. Okay. And so for people that don't know, what is Marco Polo?
So Marco Polo is a video walkie-talkie app. And what it basically does is it records audio and video in a very easy to use app. It's an Android iPhone. Essentially what it does, and I get a lot of people say, well, FaceTime, I use FaceTime to talk to people. Yes, you do. And that's a great tool. The challenge with video apps, just like we're doing a Zoom call right now.
Right.
I want to talk. You have to be at a place where you can talk on video, and I have to be at a place. You have to have great internet, and so do I. And you also have to be at the mental place to have a conversation with me. The beauty of video walkie-talkie, it's called store and forward, meaning I record my video, and when you have a moment to speak with me or listen to my communication, you can open up the app and start listening to your Marco Polos. And then you can start responding to your Marco Polos. A lot of entrepreneurs don't realize that 80% of their day is email and phone call, where there's video, face-to-face meetings.
Yeah, that's right.
The day is communication.
Yeah. And
the problem with functionally the technologies that we've been using all these years, just let's say, for instance, email. Email is about a 30-year-old business communication tool that I've been using since I've been in business. And email is akin to a caveman writing on a wall.
Wow.
If you were to write on a wall, I would look at the wall and it's a picture, and I would interpret the picture. Mm-hmm. Does that picture mean it's a positive message, negative message? Are you mad at me or angry? Well, email essentially is the same thing. You could write an email to 10 of your folks and get 2 or 3 of them that misinterpret what you said or didn't read the whole email, didn't understand the tone, they didn't understand the volume. And so you're left with sitting there, even as well of a writer as you can be, you're not perfect. And you cannot write to all audience. You can do your best, but it's a very extremely inefficient strategy. And the phone is actually a lot worse, because what happens is if my phone rings, I want to see who it is.
Right.
I don't care how important my world is or project I'm working on. When that ringer goes off, now I always keep my ringer off, but let's say for a moment I didn't, and I was working on a very important project, and Sally, my organization, gave me a call. I would be tempted to answer it because I'm a nice guy. I want to help her do her job, right? Well, I could be chasing squirrels all day if I'm answering phone calls all day. And there's many entrepreneurs that literally are at their death's door because they are unhealthy, unfit, because they are so distracted in their lives. They don't have any time to manage their time. And so what I basically do is teach people how to move all their internal communication out of email and out of phone into Marco Polo, and teach them how to get their team on board, because moving your communication channel is hard for most organizations, but there's a process. And so I kind of teach that process. And, currently 4 different companies, 400 people that work for me. Half the year I'm in Costa Rica. Half the year I'm here. With Marco Polo, I'm able to tackle time zones, people's schedules, all that's eliminated. I communicate when I'm ready, and they communicate when they're ready. And it just makes a cohesive way to inspire my team.
I like that, because I hate typing. I don't like texting, and I don't like typing, but I could talk, hence the podcast, right? Yeah, and so you can be precise with just in playing with it. We have a mutual friend, and just I have a question, I can just say it, and there's no ambiguity. Or if I'm joking and I can put out a playful tone, you can see my voice inflection, and kind of get to know me a little bit. But we're not like tied up on the phone for 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
And
I'm here in the South. We say y'all, and when you call us on the phone, we want to know how mom and them are doing.
Right.
And so all those niceties, when you get into a Marco Polo, number one, I don't got to give you a greeting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't got to say who I am. You see me.
Right.
But it is funny when people start using Marco Polo, they'll dress themselves. Hey, this is, I say, your name's on the screen. I know exactly.
Right. I know who it is. Right.
Yeah, but that's good. It takes some getting used to for people. There's a transitional period,
mm-hmm.
but really the purpose of it is, I know for a fact that by moving to that channel, you're going to add 40 hours of extra productivity every single month by moving to this strategy. Not only that, the key thing it does is it's not about us as entrepreneurs. It's about our team. When you give people your passion and your vision and what you want to do in your organization, they're going to follow you. They're looking for leadership. What we are able to use our mouthpieces for, in the way we speak to one another and how we use video with one another, that is how you create the inspirational leadership that they deserve to be able to start to follow. We've been using it with our team for over about 2 years. It's been an incredible asset. It's a superpower that certainly comes with some great responsibility and how to use it properly, because you could abuse it. But absolutely, you can start seeing that you can really get a lot more done and really influence a lot more in your organization by having a tool like that.
So I've got a note that you've actually significantly grown your revenues using Marco Polo. Can you give us, our listeners, maybe 2 or 3, 4 best practices of, I know you have a book on this also, which we'll talk about later, of things why they want to transition and things that it can help them do. And I'm actually thinking about it from two standpoints, thinking about Curtis, right? Using it internally with teams, but also could it help with, so for example, I'm in financial services, talking to clients, a little bit, as opposed to, so where you can, direct message to, you've seen it there's really 2 parts, with internal growth and also maybe with the sales process or client acquisition, maybe 2 ways you use it, a couple of you use it in those two regards? I know that's a question.
You asked such a good question that could go in a huge rabbit hole, but I'm gonna try to shorten it up so it takes
Okay.
because I get super jazzed about what you can do as the client relationship. In that client relationship, there is nothing more personal than your face. Human beings have a natural reaction when we look at each other's faces. If you want to build a solid relationship with someone, the time in which you can do that over the phone and through email is totally different. The number one way to build a relationship is a hand-to-hand combat. I shake your hand, look you in the face, right?
Right.
Now, we can't always do that, and I get it. We can't always be face-to-face because you may have clients all over the country, right?
Right.
But when you talk on video and you have that, it has a very personal, authentic, real-world communication feel that no other app I've seen them able to do that other than like maybe a live call. Let's just say, for instance, financial services, you're talking about a lot of data.
Yeah.
Imagine for a moment that you're going to do a call and talk about what the market's doing and maybe where their financial situation is. And you got to report. And you send them an Excel spreadsheet. I'll tell you, most people don't ever open Excel spreadsheets.
Right.
Or if they do, they look at one little thing.
Right.
There's something in the sheet that means something. Well, with Marco Polo, pull up the spreadsheet on your computer and then do a Marco Polo and then use the camera. There's a way you can press the camera and use the front-facing camera and then talk about the report. So don't send me the report. Tell me what the report says. And with Marco Polo, you can do that. So imagine for a moment, you're giving someone a report, and you're not just sending them a form email with some generic spreadsheet. No, I want to know what it says. Don't send me the data. We're all busy, dude. Everybody's got 1,000 things going on. If my financial advisor told me a story about my month, that's someone I want to introduce to. And let's talk about introduction. So when you start building this stronger relationship with people, and you've read The Science of Getting Rich, right?
Yes.
Okay, Science of Getting Rich. You want to create value, right?
Yep.
And if you create more value than you receive, the universe is going to work for you and create more opportunities. You know how you get opportunities? You wow somebody with something nobody else is doing. And this is how you get introductions in Marco Polo. So Marco Polo allows me to talk to one or many. And so let's say for a moment, I want to give an introduction to someone. I do it in Marco Polo. I create a Marco Polo just like your email where you add people in the 2-line. I can do the same thing, video.
Okay.
So I can say, you know what? Hey, Joey, I want you to meet this awesome cat named Curtis. I add them together. I do a Marco. Hey, I want to put you guys together. Tell us a little bit what you do, Curtis. And you get on the Marco Polo and you basically walk through what you do. And then I may want to get out of that conversation. And so you could just talk directly to the introduction. And then you can create that. You don't got to schedule time with nobody. You don't have to send out and write a big, long email. Now, you got to look professional.
Right.
Because you're on video, right?
Right.
You got to look like you know what you're talking about, and you gotta be prepared. And so, I could go on and on of the value that now. Let's say you have a group that you manage. Maybe it's a mastermind group. Maybe you're coaching people. You can do a group. So you got 10 people every week you meet. You may have a live call, but maybe you have some questions that they have, and they want to ask the group, and they want your response. Or maybe you want to bring someone in that's a specialist, and he's really good at teaching them X. Bring him into your group. Have them do some coaching inside your group. I mean, the world is at your fingertips with this. And it's just a matter of learning how to use it. And really, you gotta get sweaty with it and try it.
Okay.
Try to use it with many people as you can.
Wow, you're blowing my mind. So because what I was thinking about was I was thinking about something like you said I hadn't thought about the introduction part, but I have sent it out. Like I had a client, she was texting me, asking me stuff. So listen, I don't this is too long here. And I recorded a video but she didn't have Marco Polo. So I don't know if she saw it yet. And so I was thinking about, how do I get my people onboarded? So in the system, I guess there's a way to invite people, but is that a process that you talk about?
Yeah, it's definitely a process. And, people, the number one thing people don't want to do is add a new app on their phone.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I know this. Give some validation behind this app. This app is, they're based out of San Francisco. They got $25 million in funding. Company's name is Joyo Communications, and they have a passion to connect to other people, what they are extremely passionate about. And, in Utah, 1 out of 10 Utonians have Marco Polo. Utah is full of big families, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a lot of people that are sharing their family experiences within the app. And so for some people, it's sharing family experiences, husband and wife. I mean, my relationship, and it's funny how many people I've talked to into Marco Polo. One of the number one things of the feedback that I get is I hear this all the time. This has helped my family's relationship tremendously, where my wife and I have a completely new relationship, because, when you're busy, playing phone tag with each other is super frustrating. Texting could be misinterpreted lots of different ways. But when you do a video and you're showing your kids at the ball field and he just knocked out of the park, and you're showing that face, that excitement, or the crazy funny moments, and you're sharing that instantly but privately. So you're not on Facebook sharing it. This is like, private conversations back and forth. It's game changing. There's so much value that you can create. And I teach in the course how to get people in it, because there are a resistance for some people.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a team. When you have a team of people, to get people to use it, there's an art form to get people to start changing behaviors. And I start with teaching people that it's, number one, it's not about me, the entrepreneur. It's about this extra time. And if I were to give you, Curtis, an extra 40 hours a month, what would you choose to do with it? And everyone has a different story, what it would bring to their world.
So an extra 40 hours a month, and if time is money, it's time with your family, or time to pursue more, opportunities that you're freed up from stuff that doesn't make you money, to focus on more productive activities in less time, so you got more time with your family. I mean, so many different ways that you can go with that. That's awesome. What about using it? Let's talk about raising capital and closing deals. Since I have a lot of business owners, like, well, how would I actually? Because you gave me an idea just now of, okay, I'm gonna get my wife on it, because I don't like texting, but I would love to do messages back and forth. And my kids,
Oh yeah,
that's yeah. And
so I'll answer this real world experience. So I started a rideshare app a few years ago called Hitch Reward.
Okay.
We basically provide a tool for either companies or municipalities to fund rideshare programs. So let's say a major corporation wants to incentivize. People only do things on incentives. We all know this.
Right.
If you want to get people to ride together, you pay them. Guess what they'll do? They ride together.
Right.
And we can take cars off the road by offering a very little bit amount of money, but we provide a tool to do that. And so my CEO that runs that company, I would introduce him to potential investors, all in Marco Polo. And imagine for a moment, the CEO is in the field, in the street, going from appointment to appointment, talk to talk, and going through an experience of what our service is doing in real time. Like whenever, it's just like, it may be a few Marco Polos on Monday, and then nothing Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, hey, here's an update. And these people were closing. These people were investing because they got the excitement of what the opportunity was. And it wasn't just a sit-down coffee. It was like a story. And things are sold through stories. And when you're able to see and hear a full story, that's meaningful. If you're reading an email or hearing, you got to see the full dog and pony show. Like, listen, what would you rather do? Read about Star Wars or watch the movie?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Watch the movie.
And don't get me wrong, I value books as well. But hey, it's a fast-paced world, and you got to be exciting. And one way you can do that is through video.
Are there any industries better than others, or it's across the board? It's anybody that if with some imagination, once they go through your course, they can figure out how to.
Well, really anybody that leads people and then has a team to manage is certainly a fit. There are instances, Marco Polo isn't for every scenario. Like if I was in meetings all day and I was in front of people and I was speaking all day and I couldn't be on my phone at all, Marco Polo wouldn't be for it. But maybe, text is better for those scenarios.
Right.
But for the most part, it really it's a process to get the team to get on board with a new medium, and you primarily have to get them some practice.
Yeah.
One thing that works very well is eliminating meetings with it. A majority of meetings is solving problems or issues.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I teach in my course is you can create a group really easily in Marco Polo, but name that group the problem. So let's say for a moment, nobody's entering anything into your CRM. You're going to get the salespeople on a Marco, the sales manager, and then maybe the leader, right? And you're going to get on here, hey guys, we're going to talk a little bit about this issue with nobody's putting entries in the CRM system. And what I'd like to do, here it is on Tuesday, and by Friday, I'd like to find out why we're not getting people to enter these things. And so I don't know if you've read Traction or not.
No, I haven't. I think I have it on my wish list, but I haven't got it yet.
So it's a book written by an organization, the Entrepreneur Operating System. And it's called EOS. And they just have a business strategy on the kind of way you run a business. But one of the fundamentals is a level 10 meeting. And at a level 10 meeting, issues happen during the meeting. And the way you handle an issue in their program is you identify what the problem is, you discuss it, and then you solve it. What I do in Marco Polo, when I have an issue, I would get on there and say, listen, guys, no one's making entries in CRM, and I want to find out what the issue is. Can you guys tell me what would be a reason you wouldn't enter it? And then Joey gets on there and goes, well, the app, when I use it, it crashes all the time. Okay, that's a pretty good reason that they wouldn't be entering it. Or maybe it's, well, you're asking for a lot of stuff and I just don't want to enter it. Okay, that's another reason. And so what happens is once you go through this discussion, you can come to a resolution and figure out what the solution is. So often we get in a meeting to solve a problem, but the answer can't be discovered in that 1 hour. So you spend a lot of time, a lot of people talking. Well, if you stretch that issue over a few days, interesting things happen. Have you ever been in a situation where you had a big problem that you couldn't solve, and you wake up in the morning, you're brushing your teeth, and all of a sudden, boop, solution.
Right.
I got the solution. We could do this. And the best way to solve a problem is you add space in between it. A little bit of space in between an issue, the issue solution will rise its head and say, hey, I'm a solution. And you just needed some time. And so that's how I use it in Marco Polo with creating groups.
That's interesting because you're it's kind of combining giving your subconscious time to work on it and masterminding, because everybody's doing that. And then ideas will start to come once you get a bunch of people thinking about it. I could see how that would manifest itself that way. I've got to take the course because I my mind is exploding with ways to use it, with assistants, with clients, creating little masterminds I always like to have running conversations of just little 30-second ideas, and I don't really always want to put them on Facebook. I like to send personal stuff to people, right there at that second while I'm thinking about it. And I think if I can get people on it, I think it can really deepen your relationship and your communication, your retention, your repeat business. If people are feel like they're in relationship with you, and being able to communicate with your team, with your customers, with your clients, if you're in the service business, with your strategic alliance partners, maybe that you work together, or things that are coming to mind as we talk about this. Robert, what didn't I ask you? What should I be asking you, or what are maybe another one or two things that you, as we wrap up? I know you got a lot of things going on too that you'd want our listeners to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, Curtis. Life is extremely short, and so many of us that are listening right now are probably listening into the car, right?
Yeah, and
they are driving into an office, or maybe they're driving home at the end of the day.
Yeah.
One of the things I when I work with entrepreneurs, I ask them a simple question, and that question is, how far away is your office from where you live? And if they spend more than 10 minutes driving to work, to their office, or driving home, they have to either move or change their office or work at home. So many people feel like they have to be at their business to get work done. And the reality is you are hurting your organization by even being there.
Wow.
When you are at your office, if someone has a question, they go to you.
Right.
If you're not there, you know what happens? They figure it out. If you want to have an organization that runs on its own, you can't be there and babysit them. You have to use technology that we have available, and you need to live your life with your family, and you need to grow your business, because what I teach in our course is getting people space to think. I give you an extra 40 hours a month, and let's just say for a moment, and I know you work out, but let's say you didn't. Well, would you start to exercise more if you had some extra time during the week? I think you would.
Yes.
Would you have time to think about your next big, audacious idea? I think you would.
Yes.
And that's how we grow. You don't grow if you're on the battlefield fighting a war. Nobody has time to think any new ideas.
Right.
That guy's shooting at me. I got to shoot back.
Right.
We're in a state of reaction when we're at the office. And you're thrown with a bazillion squirrels, a bazillion issues, and your phone is ringing off the wall. You never have time to stop and smell the roses or actually think of a bigger, more audacious thing. And so that's what I'd like to leave your folks with, is really analyze where you are. Are you spending an abnormal amount of time in meetings, on calls, and nobody is paying attention? There's absolutely a better way to do this.
I love that, because I feel like I do that. So even with like people I train and that kind of stuff. So that is, folks, I hope you go back and listen to this. And I think so. Once you, Robert, tell them about where they can get more information about your training.
So one of the things I have a playbook that you get that basically walks you through kind of the strategy of, getting your team on board. Because, what you're going to find is if you're not careful, you'll find the same mistake that I did. Is I had an employee show me Marco Polo. I got on it. I made everybody use it. And then about 2 months into it, I had everybody frustrated with me.
Okay.
And they got frustrated because they got Marco Polos, they got their phone ringing with phone calls, they got email and all this stuff. And I finally was like, guys, just do all your communication one channel. There is no expectation. If you leave me a Marco Polo, there's not an expectation I'm going to answer it right away. Now, if the store is on fire, you call me. I need to know that. That's urgent, right?
Right.
And so, and as long as you set the boundaries and you follow the playbook and say, all right, let's create some rules as an organization. This is when we text each other. This is when a phone call is appropriate. This is actually when we should do a face-to-face meeting. One of the things I teach in my course, you don't give negative news over Marco Polo. There's reasons for that. But all these things I kind of learn when you have a bigger organization, you kind of learn what works and kind of what doesn't work. And there is a strategy, and that's what I teach. And they can visit the course at shiftyourtime.com. And we do programs for just individuals that just want to get better at it. And let's say they just maybe they want to use it in sales, and that's probably what they're going to do.
Yeah.
The course is great for that. But if you want more hand-holding, we have a team of people to help with the hand-holding piece when it comes to working through departments and deciding what areas in the organization are going to be using Marco Polo or not.
Wow, that's awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all of that in the show notes, the links And he gave a lot of great bullet points. We're going to try to organize that and put that in the show notes so you can, go to, kind of sort that stuff out, because there's a lot of wisdom, a lot of tools. My mind is racing, I'm about to tell you, of different things just in playing with it the last few weeks. And then, you've taken me in a couple different directions I wasn't even thinking about. So I don't know about anybody else who listens, but I'm excited. So Robert, I appreciate you, and I want to thank you for taking some time out your busy schedule to share this awesome tool with our listeners. So folks, go to Shift Your Time. If you want to save time in your schedule, grow your revenues, have better communication, because your communication will determine your revenue. Okay, so that is a big deal. So, Robert, thank you again from the Practical Wealth Show listeners.
Awesome, Curtis, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yes. So I'm excited. And folks, go out there and have it be a prosperous day. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Practical Wealth. To access the show notes and resources, go to practicalwealthshow.com. To get your questions on the show, go to practicalwealthshow.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before you make any investment decisions, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Practical Wealth. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting.